Hello there. I'm Helen from BDA Scotland. I'm here today, you must have seen the poster. We're here today to have a bit of a chat about the Commonwealth Games that are happening right now. The Commonwealth Games 2026 that are happening right now, but what happened in the past. It's not the first time we've had it here in Glasgow. It's actually our second time. And so we're going to have a bit of a chat about the last time it was here back in 2014. I have some deaf volunteers who volunteered back then, who are going to share their experiences and tell us some stories from back then and what that was like. BD Scotland are so happy to have with us today Flora Kerr. Flora, if you can put your camera on for us. Hello, Flora. It's lovely to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself? Hi, I'm Flora Kerr. And my sign name is Flora. Thank you, Flora, for coming today. And we also have today Alison. Alison, would you like to also join us? Hello, Alison. Thank you for coming today. Maybe you can introduce yourself as well. Hello, I'm Alison Hendry, and my sign name is this Alison. Thank you, Alison, for coming today. I've got some questions for you, but it's going to be a lovely chat. You were both involved with the Commonwealth Games back in 2014, yeah? That's 12 years ago now. What made you consider volunteering? How did that happen? Flora. Well, back then I was actually working with an organisation called Deaf Connections originally, with Deaf Connections. It was during my lunch break and there were some people that arrived from the Commonwealth Games. And they started asking us if anybody would like to volunteer. And I thought, oh, why not give that a bash? So I went down to talk to them and I thought, yeah, I'm really keen. I'd like to do that. So I gave them my name and my address and my phone number and all the bits. And then I got a letter to say that I'd been accepted. Well, yeah, it was about 2013, I'm pretty sure. There was an announcement for volunteers back then. I was just finished university actually at that time. I was actually studying sports at university and I thought, well, that sounds quite good. It was being held in my home city, so I thought I'm going to give that a go and just apply. So I filled out the interview, the application form, and that was it. Okay, so what were your roles at that time when you were volunteering? Well, I worked for the results technical team. So it's a bit of an odd name, but really I was involved with the badminton at that time. Badminton, yeah, badminton. Sorry, badminton. So my job was to record how many times, do you know the shuttlecock that you use in the game of badminton? How many times that passed across to the two sides of the court? I sat in the middle and I had to count them. And I then had to use a counter that you clicked. So maybe if it went across 40 times in one game, it would be clicked 40 times. Right, so into each court, yeah. So it was like a live score online. So we had to then upload that online. Why were they doing that? It was just to do with data statistics for how good the team were or how good the players were. It was really hard work because you had to focus. And I did have a partner with me also doing that. It was a really interesting role actually. And Flora? Well, I actually worked over at Glasgow Green. Do you know Glasgow Green? Yes, I do. Yeah, so I was working in Glasgow Green. So I had an interpreter with me all the time, and we had a map, and we would then direct people to where they wanted to go. So if they wanted to go to a particular activity or to do a particular event, they would come in to Glasgow Green, and they would ask where to go. So I would then show them the map and say, it's over there to your right, or over there to your left, or up there or down there, or wherever they had to go. It was really, really, really nice. And I think it was also nice that they came straight to me instead of the interpreter. I had the interpreter obviously to voice what I was saying to them, but they would also ask lots of questions like, oh, like how would you sign? Where is this? I would say to them, well, the sign's Glasgow, or, thank you, or just really basic signs. It was lovely. Everybody was really keen to learn. Okay, so you were like teaching them BSL, I guess. Alison, did you have an interpreter? No, I didn't actually. Back then, I was using my own voice and I thought, oh, it's fine. But actually, if I look back, I really wish that I'd had an interpreter with me, because we had like team chats before and after. There was lots of crosstalk, etc. And I did miss a little bit of that. I mean, they were good, the team were good, but I do wish that actually looking back, I'd decided to have an interpreter. So back then, when you were volunteering, how did you, like, what did the clothing, did you get given clothing? What was it like? Yeah, I did. I get given a black and green uniform. I've actually got it if you'd like to see. This was my hat. This was the cap I wore. And I had a t-shirt. Oh, so you've kept that for all these years? Yeah. So, yeah, so this was the top. I had black trousers and I had like a zipper. And I also had a waterproof, so that I was kept dry when I was outside. I was a bit different actually. I had a different colour. So the trousers I had were these ones. Cool. I had a t-shirt. Unfortunately, it's a bit neat for me now. I've changed over the years. And you see the Scotland logo on the back, Scotland flag on the back. I also did have like a hoodie jacket somewhere, I don't know where it is, and also had an outdoor jacket. They also gave me a bag so I could keep things in. And I did get a cap as well and an umbrella. They are around somewhere, but these are the ones that I had to hand. I got a bag as well. It was a bag that you wore in your front, so you didn't have anything over your shoulders. Right, let's go back a little bit then, if you don't mind. So you were keen to volunteer. Was it easy to get in? Did you have to apply? Flora, how did you get your name down? Like, how did that work? How did you get selected? Well, I got a letter sent to me, and it said that I'll be getting clothing, that I'll be getting like lots of bits and pieces. There were bits of reading material that I'd be given, and they let me know when that was ready to collect. So I went along, I got it, I tried it on to make sure it fitted. Oh, so you picked that up? Yes, I picked that up. When I got there, the trousers were a wee bit tight, so they actually managed to get me the next size up. So I was able to go the next again day and switch those trousers. So that was great. Alison, I actually applied through an interview process. I did have an interpreter with me for the interview, which was great. It was really helpful. They asked lots of questions about why I was applying, why I was interested in volunteering. And I think, like Flora, I got a letter saying that, yes, I had been selected and I was to get clothing. So they had a changing room where we could try on the different sizes to make sure they fitted and to make sure everything was there for you. So yeah, I was able to pick that up and bring it home. Okay, maybe this is a silly question, but your clothing, your caps, your bags and all the bits, did you have to pay for them? No, they were free. We didn't have to pay. Oh, that's lovely. So that's a nice keepsake then. Absolutely, yeah. So, did you start straight away or did you have to have any kind of training put in place? I didn't have any training. I had no training, but they did give me some books, which I actually have here. And this lanyard. They told me what time I was to arrive, and when I arrived, they had a tent. There was lots of people around, and there were interpreters there, and they told me what to do and who to be with. It was great. The woman could actually sign a bit who was telling us what to do, but it was great. She was one in charge of who would be doing what. They told us what to do, what time we would start, where we would go, and off we went. So off I went with my interpreter, and we found our spot for that day. And then people would just come and ask us questions. That's lovely. Alison, is it the same? I got some training actually. I think 2 or 3 days of training. I think because my job was more specific and a bit more detailed. There were other deaf people doing similar roles, but the same as Flora, I got given a big kind of book, a big folder, but I was also given this pocket book, which were more like for keeping my notes and giving me like key points. And so if I was unsure about anything, I could go to the key points. I also had a lanyard, but slightly different. It just said what my role was and where I was based. So I got that while I was on the training. So the Commonwealth Games runs for around 2 weeks, is that right? Did you do that? I was around 10 days, I think roughly 10 days that I worked for. Flora. I was just a few days because I was actually working full time at that time. So it was mostly Saturdays that I went along. So Saturdays I would assume would be busy days. They would be, yes, they would be quite busy. It's interesting that you've got different colours of uniforms. Alison, you had red and Flora, you had green. Were there any other colours or? Not that I was aware of. I'm not sure if there were any other colours. So you were explaining about having the interpreters, which was really helpful. Did you have any real standout moments from your time volunteering? I worked actually at the Emirates Arena at the Velodrome, which is where they do the cycling. But I was also there, I was there for the badminton. So when the badminton had finished, I was still working, if you like. I had a volunteer role. So what I would do is I could go in and watch the cycling. The atmosphere was electric. It was such a big stadium with so many people there. And I'm pretty sure at that time Chris Hoy was around. The famous cyclist. I'm fairly sure he was around. I never got the opportunity to meet him, but I'm fairly sure he was around at the time. So it just felt really special to be there and be in that arena and watching the sport. So yeah, that was a real standout for me. This year, 2026, Chris Hoy is still around. He's still there. Flora, any standout moments for you? Well, I just stayed all the time at Glasgow Green, but I didn't meet any famous people. But it was just lovely, having my uniform on and feeling part of this. And we'd see lots of people coming from different countries, maybe had finished their particular sport and coming into the park. I couldn't have told you who they were, but you could see that they were definitely part of the Commonwealth Games. Flora, you said you were teaching some people some signs, but they were from abroad. Did you meet many people from abroad? Mostly British people. Mostly British people. Yeah, it was mostly British. Okay. So you were working as a volunteer. I wonder, how did that feel for you? I felt really proud. The host city was Glasgow. That was where I was from. It felt like we were really showcasing Glasgow, showcasing the city and having all these sports people there. I was very nervous also. And obviously, as a deaf person, I was the only deaf person within my team. But my team were really lovely, really supportive, really encouraging. They wanted to make sure they could give me as much access as possible. So it was quite an emotional experience. Flora, what about yourself? I really enjoyed it. It was just lovely to meet everybody. Tick that off my list. I've volunteered for the Commonwealth Games. It was a really great experience. That's fantastic. I do actually have some slides for you to have a little look at. Alison, they were your uniforms, weren't they, that we saw in the pictures? I wonder, do you have any tips for people that may be volunteering this year? I think if you see the opportunity, grab it. Grab it where you can. You saw in the slides there were 3 jackets there, and they were different for different events. The first one was actually at the London Olympics. London Olympics, yes, So I worked in Glasgow for the London Olympics at Hampden Park. That's the very first time I'd ever volunteered. And that's actually what made me apply for the Commonwealth Games in 2014. Right, go back a bit. London Olympics. Was that 2012? Yes, you're right. It was 2012. So that was prior to the Commonwealth Games. Okay, so how did that come about? Well, at that time it was online, and I had thought it would be really interesting to apply, and I hoped I would get to go to London, but unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, but at the same time, it was wonderful to stay in Glasgow, easy to travel, no stress. The London Olympics had bases across the UK. So Glasgow had the football, and I was really happy to be there. And then when I saw the Commonwealth Games come up, I thought, oh, I'm definitely going to apply. So that was the middle top. And then the last top was linked to the European Championships. That was for athletics and various different competitions like that. That was 2018. Oh, that's so interesting. So you've done volunteering over a number of years. Flora, have you got any tips for anybody? I just love sports. And when I was young and growing up, I always watched the Commonwealth Games. I always watched the Olympics also. Until, do you mean on TV? Oh yes, yes, on TV. I loved watching the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games on TV. I must watch the Olympics every year. And then obviously in Deaf Connections, when the people come along for the Commonwealth Games, if they had never came in, that would never have happened. So, I grabbed the opportunity, and yes, it's a real bucket list. Oh, that now reminds me, you were saying, Alison, about the velodrome and watching the cycling, but did you watch any other sports at that time? Yeah, I did see the wrestling. That's at a different venue. I actually went along with a friend to watch that at a different venue. It's not particularly my favourite sport, but it was the tickets that they had available. So we thought, oh, why not? Let's just go because it could be interesting. That's really the only other one that I saw. Flora, did you see any of the sports? Did you go and look at any of the other events that were going on? No, no, no. I just, no, just stayed all the time at Glasgow Green. Do you have any funny stories from that time when you were volunteering? Flora, do you have any? What was interesting was lots of people that I didn't know were there, but actually my family all came along one day, which was lovely. That was really nice to see. And they really came along just to see me and support me in that volunteering position. Of course, you've got all different people coming in and seeing you signing as well. Any other funny stories? I think I was quite lucky to be at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games, and actually, I was at the rehearsals the day before as well, so I got a ticket to go and watch the rehearsals. So I brought my mum along with me, and we watched that, and it was fantastic. Really amazing to see how they organised it, the choreography, the colours. It was really fantastic to see before the actual opening ceremony. You know, it was nice just to see from the very start, from the rehearsal phase. Well, do you know what a funny story that I remember was we had great weather right up until the last Saturday, one day before the closing ceremony. And I got up early, I was looking forward to going, and I opened my curtains, and oh my lord, it was raining from the heavens. I mean, I still went anyway, because I had, my rain gear already that had been provided, but my goodness, was it throwing it down. They had also given us an umbrella, so we had an umbrella as well. It was a big umbrella, a really big umbrella. So yeah, that was that was interesting. I had to give them it back. It was their own umbrella. I couldn't keep it. I have some slides coming in now of Flora and her time at Glasgow Green. What is this, Flora? What were these? So I came 3 times, which meant I got the bronze, silver, and gold badges. I was only able to go that many times because of my full-time work. But because it was actually raining from the heavens when we finished that day, it was the last day and we were done. I met the woman, the lady I was telling you about earlier, the coordinator that could sign. I should only have got 2 of those badges because I was only there volunteering twice, but she said, because you've been out in that rain all day, I'm going to give you all 3. So gold, silver, and bronze. That's fantastic. That's such a nice memory to keep, isn't it? Do you ever wear them? No, I keep them in a drawer. I keep them safe. That's beautiful. Okay, we've got a couple more slides coming. Alison, we can see you there with the Commonwealth. Was that the... Yeah, that was Clyde. He was the mascot. So they always have, like an iconic symbol for any of these types of games. So I didn't meet any famous people, but I met Clyde, so that was nice. I was really excited to get that picture taken, actually. Did you talk to it or no? I mean, through gestures. It was just nice, happy to be there and see Clyde and be around the place. I mean, you still look young even now. You look young there, but you still look very young now. Thanks very much. I've got a few more slides. Okay, so these slides, Alison, I wonder if you could explain them. That last slide was actually the opening ceremony. It was really colourful. It didn't have fireworks, but it was like these explosions it was paper that came out. And the way they set it up, they were trying to showcase Scotland. You see the kind of arch? That was to symbolise the Loch Ness Monster. And they were showing different areas of Scotland, including Glasgow, and it was lovely to see. The weather was beautiful. It was a lovely sunny day. We were in Celtic Park. It was really lucky that we had such good weather because we were outdoors. Flora, did you go to the opening ceremony? No, no. But you went to the closing ceremony? No, I didn't do that either. Okay. I have a few more sides. That's Lulu, isn't it? I wonder if you could explain who this person is. I have no idea. Oh, I'll tell you. So I saw this person on. I got given a sheet, and you could go to different events for free if you wanted. And there was one event that had a singer, and it was also in Glasgow Green. So it was just before the opening ceremony. And I thought, I'd quite like to go and see that person. So me and a few of my hearing friends went along, and they had all different areas set up within Glasgow Green. They had, beer tents, they had crafts, they had pizza stalls, all different bits and pieces round Glasgow Green. It was really like an event. It was beautiful and sunny. And at the last part, it was different. It was like an event where there was different singers. And there was that one singer that I really wanted to see, and she was on at 7:30 at night. So we just kind of dotted around, whatever, and waited until 7:30. I was so excited to then get to sit, and oh my goodness, it was amazing. It was a huge stage, there's a full band going, and then Lulu came out and started singing, and honestly, oh, it was what a sight to behold. It was just wonderful. They had the singers and the dancers and the musicians, and I mean, I can't hear music, of course, as a deaf person, but it was so visual and it was just wonderful to see. And I thought, she's such a famous Scottish woman who grew up in Oh, she's Scottish, a Glasgow girl. Yes, Um, she started singing at like 15, so she's really iconic to Glasgow. And it was just beautiful to see her dancing on the stage with the band going. Honestly, it was such a big difference compared to watching somebody on TV, like a singer on TV. You watch it on TV and you're like, yeah, whatever. But being there live, seeing that, honestly, it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It was just amazing to see Lulu on the stage. Okay. So you were working as volunteers and then you finished that. How did it feel after the event? For me, really emotional. As I said before, I was really proud to be there. Glasgow's my home city. It was really good to meet new people, build my skills, learn something new, but also learn about other sports. It was just, yeah, it was kind of sad that it was done, but a really brilliant experience. Yeah, really, I would love to have carried on. Disappointed that it had to end. Flora, how did you feel? Oh, I would just echo what Alison has said. When it was finished, 5 o'clock, you finished your shift, and the lady that gave me the medals just said, that's it, you're done. And it just felt really sad to be leaving. The atmosphere that you were in, it was so enjoyable, and everybody there. You know, I was saying that that particular day we had the rain that came down, but actually later on it was really sunny, so the weather changed, and I went up to George Square, and everybody was around. It felt like a real festival atmosphere. There were beer stalls and all different people doing it, and it just really felt like, oh, I need to say goodbye to this. It was such a great experience. That sounds amazing. I wonder if I could ask, your volunteering experience, you've said, has been amazing. Did you use that volunteering experience on your CV or to help you get any future jobs? Yes, I did. So that was 12 years ago, and I've applied for a few jobs since then. In 2014, I had just finished uni, so I had to look for work. But actually, none of my jobs have been directly linked to sports, but I still put that on the CV because I still got skills from that volunteering and they are transferable to different environments. So, what I learned there is absolutely transferable to other jobs. I can adapt them to be another job. So, I always put the volunteering experiences down. I put the London Olympics down, I put the Commonwealth Games down, and the European Championships. I think it shows that you have an appetite for learning and that you're happy to commit your time to voluntary work. So I always put it on my CV. Flora, what about yourself? Well, I was still working at the time and then I retired, so I never took in any other work. But you can tell that story to other people, can't you? You can use that to inspire others. Yeah. Okay, we have one more slide. Yeah. So this year, 2026, we have a volunteer who has deaf ushers, Lisa, as you saw in the poster. And then I'm sure there will be other deaf volunteers. Do you have any advice or tips for anybody that's now working in the Commonwealth Games? Do you have any advice of things they should do or shouldn't do? Or, well, as Flora said earlier, you know, if you have an interest in sports, then you should apply. It's good to volunteer for areas that maybe you're interested in, whether that's theatre, whether that's sports. It's great to have that volunteer experience. I have more awareness now, of what it would be like to volunteer within these domains. And whether you're deaf or deaf blind, you should always you should always recommend and definitely apply to volunteer because it will give you lots of experience. As I said, I did the European Championships and the London Olympics. Unfortunately, I did apply for one, but it was through COVID. So unfortunately, I missed out on that because that was then cancelled. But in future, if I have the time, I'm working full time now, but if I have the time and the capacity, I would absolutely volunteer again. What about you, Flora? I know sometimes you think it's difficult to apply, but I think it's good for maybe some of these organisations to go along to the deaf clubs and say, we're looking for volunteers, come and join us. They should definitely do that. I know Deaf Connections is closed, but there are other deaf clubs out there that you could go along to. Or maybe even go to the high schools that have got deaf young people there and, 17, 18-year-olds, they could volunteer. I'm sure they'd have lots of people interested in sports. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Have a wee look at this. Did you enjoy watching the football at the Hydro on Saturday? Oh, yes, I did. When I arrived, it was, oh my goodness, the arena was full. It was so colourful and everybody was dressed in the uniforms and obviously professional netball players. Oh my goodness, yeah, professional. I really enjoyed myself. It was wonderful. Who won? It was Jamaica versus Tobago, and it was Jamaica that won. And then after that, South Africa versus Malawi. So South Africa won that one. But I mean, I really enjoyed Malawi. The fans that were there, oh my goodness, they were wonderful. They would all chant and wave their flags and dance around. And even though they lost, they were still so happy to be dancing around and cheering for their team. Honestly, I really enjoyed myself. It was fantastic. Did you watch anything? No, actually, I realised I'm off next week, so I might actually try and see if I can get along to something. Okay, another question has come in. So, Alison and Flora, did you both enjoy sharing your talks and experiences as volunteers at deaf community events? Wonder if you could tell us a bit about that. So, for me, it was really good. Now, I live in Edinburgh currently, so I'm not in Glasgow any longer. But it was really lovely to see new faces and old faces coming along to Deaf Club, and people I hadn't seen for a very long time. It was lovely to catch up with them, but also for me, just to be able to talk. You know, my everyday life is more in the hearing world. I don't sound so much any longer, which is fine. But it was just nice to reconnect with my deaf identity, to chat about my experiences, and everybody was so interested and so many questions about my experiences, and I didn't realise, maybe I didn't even realise 4 other people had been involved. There was Flora and there was other people, and it was so interesting to know that they were also part of that. So it was lovely to visit the Deaf Club, and thank you so much for inviting me along. Flora. Yeah, it was great. And it was just, kind of recalling those memories from back then. And everybody was so engrossed in what I had to say. And at the end, there was all these questions and I was able to answer them. And it seemed that everybody who was there really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed myself too. It was quite funny actually when the quiz came on and we did the quiz, and yeah, it was wonderful. It was, yeah, thank you to BD for having us along. It really was a wonderful day. I mean, the thanks, I guess, goes to, the Commonwealth Games for bringing us all together and, having our identity and culture and language remembered as well. It was good fun, but actually, what I do remember is that my team were trying to support each other, and there were questions over cultural food. And actually, when that was getting asked, I started getting really hungry. But it was really interesting to learn more about the Commonwealth Games and the different countries and the different backgrounds. So the quiz were great. It actually gave me some new learning, which was lovely. I mean, a huge thank you to you both for sharing your experiences and your stories today. Thank you so much for your time. It's been great to have you. And I do hope other deaf people that see this would think about volunteering, and hopefully there are other volunteers working this year. At BDA Scotland, we want to say a really big thank you to you both, and we also want to say a huge thank you to Glasgow Life and the Commonwealth Games for funding us to allow us to bring these events to the deaf community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all very soon.